Naked David Icke. Ooh, what a feast we will have. No, he's not in the best of shape, despite his athletic past as a soccer player, a ball player. I'm sure I'm going to step on a few toes today. This man is quite popular. Never quite grabbed me. I did try to read one of his tomes, huge books. And, well, yes, there was agreeable criticism of education, politics, maybe the economy. But my, oh my, that book was laden with names. Names were being dropped right and left. And I guess that was meant to impress me. People, no solutions though. I don't, what is his solution? Write letters and love each other. Well, we all know about his reptilian theory. We are ruled by the reptiles and lots of other matter in his works seem intended to discredit anyone who's interested in conspiracies. And well, today we'll have a listen to one of his, I don't know, 11-minute talks about the Archons. And my goodness, I didn't realize how bad a speaker he is. It's about 11 minutes, and yet he required a total of 60 uhs and ums. So I will be super vigilant today and not indulge in space fillers, time fillers. So with that, let's have a quick look at some interesting photos. I did share one. Where am I? Where am I? Share. There we go. I was just interested in researching this organization, Gathering of the Mavericks. Seems very well intentioned, if a little naive. And I was scrolling down, these lovely ladies here with their very open smiles, very open personalities, I guess, or they were just happy that day. This man looks a little hesitant, but no reason for concern, I think. And then I see these two people. Wow, there's David again. And this man, Peter Rudd, or Rudd, also very open, friendly. David Icke here looks like a craggy mountain face, very closed. So I did a little test today with a 16-year-old student. I had him look at these 5 portraits, and I asked him which portrait of which person, how should I phrase it? Judging from these portraits, which person wouldn't you trust? And he had a careful look, and he chose, without knowing any of these people, a young man living, well, studying in Canada, living mostly in Canada. He chose David Icke. I said, you passed the test. It does have a memorable face. He could play the Joker in the Batman series. Something about those eyes and but all the lines tell me something not quite right. Not quite right. No, this is not an open man. And he is, of course, a professional liar who makes his money, I suppose, telling us that other people are liars. Oh, the sweet irony for him. Here's the video. We'll have a listen, and I'll pause frequently. It can be difficult to decode his mangled sentences at times.
Now, these entities I'm talking about are talked about and mentioned in every ancient society under different names. And these are interesting to me. This is what they're called by some Central American shaman, the flyers, just the name. We have the demons in Christianity. We have the Archons, that is the name for these entities of the Gnostic belief and the Gnostic writings. From like 2,000 years ago, around that period and later. And
yeah, so he tells us that ancient writings tell us about these entities, people, whatever they are. And well, he's not, I suppose, a real conspiracy theorist because he trusts those books, texts at face value. No questions asked, no consideration that maybe all those texts with these similar entities may have been written by the same people. Really, isn't that a possibility we should explore? David, we have there, well, thank you for putting the planet Earth in the middle, just so we should have that imprinted on our minds too, the sphere, that spheroid. But yeah, let's go through those 9 sets of entities, starting with demons, Christianity. I suppose he thinks they exist in some way. Serpent gods from the Far East, Central America. Snake brothers, very similar. Serpent gods, snake brothers, the Hopi. The Archons, or should we call them the Onarchs? Gnostic literature. What doesn't, Gnostic comes from the Greek word for knowledge. What knowledge? I have read these texts, various gospels that are not in the Bible. Nonsense, full of nonsense. The Anunnaki from ancient Sumer. What does Anunnaki mean? I am not sure, but I did a quick decode, and maybe Anu is Sundanese, means thingamajig. And Naki with the double N is Maori for bad. So we got bad thingamajig. Isn't that funny? They're just mocking us. What is a jinn? Imaginary, mischievous spirit from Islamic literature, mythology, a jinn. Can you see them if you drink enough gin? Flyers, Central American. Who were the flyers? Star people, various Chitauri, shapeshifters, Zulus, really? Or should we call them Chi-Tauri? Chi meaning energy, and Tari meaning hardship in the Hassa language. So we have Chi, sorry, hardship and energy, energy and hardship. Shapeshifters. This honestly is just infantile stuff, my friends. They can write anything they want in these yellowing, crumbling texts, and we're supposed to believe. Yes. Let's continue.
Because the way all these entities or phenomena are described is precisely the same, in effect. They're different names for the same thing.
What a coincidence, except some are snakes and some are flying. And what were the others doing? Yeah, quite different, actually. Jinn, demons. Star people and demons are the same. Why not? Use your imagination.
Archons, as the Gnostics called them, were said to be made from luminous fire. The jinn from Islamic and pre-Islamic Arabia was said to be made of smokeless fire. And when you look at what's said about it, they're talking about the same force, the same phenomena. So what is it? The Gnostics are very, very interesting. Gnostic coming from a word meaning knowledge. Whenever
knowledge, the word knowledge, no ledger means book of accounts. So the knowledge means no books. That's a hint, isn't it? Yeah, get away from books. Unless they're mine, of course. Still working on some of those.
stick fingers showed any sign of getting their point across and circulating their knowledge and their beliefs, they were slaughtered. I mean, that is just a constant.
Constant. They were slaughtered. The Catholics were slaughtering the Cathars. Almost the same word. The first four letters are exactly the same. Catholics and Cathars. What evidence do you have, David, that this actually happened? Just some books and paintings. Have you analyzed any of them? Have you questioned any of them? No. You're just regurgitating what you want us to believe. You're not a thinker, or maybe you are, but mostly you're a deceiver. Or at least at the very least, you're encouraging everyone to not think, not ask questions.
The Cathars that were slaughtered in southern France, ending up on the castle of Montségur in
They ended up, so they were slaughtered and somehow they ended up in this castle in, I believe it's France. Sounds like he's talking about my theory that the native peoples were slaughtered, well, burned mostly, and then a few were spared and entered the castles, fortresses that are actually prisons.
1244, Gnostic theories. The people that ran the great library of Alexandria with its 500,000 scrolls of ancient knowledge.
Find us the evidence of that, please. That story is so silly. 500,000 books in North Africa in Alexandria. And that library was accidentally burnt down by Julius Caesar's army. Yes, they just decided to park their boats in a harbor near Alexandria and start a fire. They were so scared of books. Oh, there was so much knowledge in those books. Honestly, books. I wouldn't need to write so many books if there were not so many books out there, because at least 4 of my 6 books are debunking other books, clearing the field, you might say. And a 5th book is debunking ideas found in books, but not quoting books. That leaves only one of my shortest books, and it's a book of admitted fiction, just a comedy. But these people, they love their books.
The Roman Church destroyed. They were Gnostic thinkers. And as a result of this, very little Gnostic writing has made it through what we call history.
No, that's the victim narrative that always impresses everyone. Those poor people, they were persecuted and killed. Who else? Who isn't using that narrative? I think David even likes it because, well, he's being persecuted by those who make fun of him for proposing the lizard theory. And he didn't get much airtime when he first started presenting his so-called research. I'm sure he doesn't write books himself. They're produced by some agency, and they stamp his name on them. He can barely present a good talk for 10 minutes. How is he going to write 700-page books with no grammar mistakes?
Then in 1945, a place called Nag Hammadi in Egypt, a sealed jar of Gnostic writings was found hidden.
Yeah, amazing. We just find these things. A jar with 13 scrolls, all supposedly dated to 1,300 years ago. Magically discovered. For 1,300 years, no one else noticed them. In Upper Egypt. And who discovered them? It was quite amazing. It was some farmers. Where is that information? Some farmers were digging for fertilizer. Really? Do farmers dig for fertilizer? It's a bit... I don't know anything about farming, I guess. Just grew up on one. Well, where is that information? Come back. There we go. Discovery. Local farmers digging for fertilizer in 1945. And the next year, or 2 years later, the Dead Sea Scrolls began being discovered. They would require 10 years to fully discover, while Israel was clearing Palestine, while the Jews, the Zionists, were clearing Palestine. They discovered the Dead Sea Scrolls. Utter trash. Don't even bother trying to read them. It's never read so much trash. Although maybe I should have a second look now that I have developed my alternative history, the cannibal history and human farming history. Maybe those texts will make some more sense, but who has time? Maybe I should make time.
From that come fantastically greater understanding of what the Gnostics were talking about. These were mystics. They went out into other levels of reality.
Other levels of reality. This kind of talk is infantile. Other levels of reality. Other dimensions. Quantum physics. Pull the wool over our eyes. Once, twice, you know how it goes.
What we call them shaman today, many of them. This is what they talk about in these writings. They talk about the Lord Archon, or what they call the Demiurge, and the Archons that serve the Demiurge and the Lord Archon, as they call it. And they relate this to the Judeo-Christian Yahweh Jehovah God. They also relate it, in effect, to what people call Satan or the devil as well.
All the BS is connected. Very nice. I have some other points to make, but maybe it's later in this talk. Yes. We'll have some more. Yeah, he's into it now. The Archons will turn out to be cyborgs, a robotic race. Well, let him speak.
They say that these Archons created the physical universe.
They created a physical universe. Well, let's talk about the WCC. I mean, that's what this is. If we want to make sense of this, maybe we can interpret it to be about the WCC, who built not the universe, but who certainly built or created the world we live in, removing first the forests, giving us agriculture, producing all the fake megalithic sites, pyramids, and such things, creating colonial cities, old world cities on every habitable continent, and masterminding the creation of the civilization we presently occupy. Yes, they are the creators of the human universe, we might say, at the cost of nature and native traditions.
We see, but not the earth, the sun, or the moon. And it's interesting that those three bodies have tremendous connections, geometrically and mathematically, which none of the other planets.
They have tremendous connections geometrically. Please expand, elaborate, but no. He's just flying through his crazy ideas. No time to make sense of anything. Geometrically. Oh, I guess they're all round. Wow. Moon, sun, and earth.
Anyway, Archon means prince, ruler, authorities, and it has the connotation also of being from the beginning, because the Gnostics said that actually from the beginning of this solar system that we see or experience, they have been here because they were actually the creators of it, apart from those bodies.
How would they know that? Fairy tale stuff, David. And how is this supposed to be useful to us if we're dealing with entities who control us and created everything? Well, we may as well lie down and roll over and say, okay, there's no hope for change.
We talk about the demiurge being a fake god that created the physical material reality that we perceive. And they talk about these entities being inorganic, like cyborgs, like robotic.
How did these ancient people conceive of robotic things so long ago? Were those texts possibly faked in the last? Hmm, who knows? If I think a lot of ancient literature was faked 200 years ago, maybe 150, 250 max. But since we have discovered so-called ancient texts in 1945, even in 1950 something, well, yeah, that was the sci-fi age. So maybe those Gnostic texts were also written at the same time authors were writing sci-fi fiction. Well, that would make sense.
And these writings are about 1,600 years old, a bit more maybe, and yet they knew that in terms of the relationship between the Earth and the rest of the solar system, the Earth was alive and organic, and the rest of the solar system was basically not alive and inorganic. How did they know that? Because they were able to get out there and were very, very knowledgeable. And that's why they were attacked by that which didn't want that knowledge circulating. This, in effect, is very much the feeling of what they describe as an Archon world, because the Archons have no creativity.
This gets funny. I must apologize, though, for saying he can't string sentences or make coherent sentences. I based that on reading what do they call it? The script that was generated by AI of this chat. AI has a long way to go. It can't even transcribe well. That was an interesting image. The Archon world with large pillars. Or are they smokestacks? Science fiction, mythic fiction. Call it what you will, it's fiction. Oh boy. Got some other software interfering with my YouTube buttons. Go away. Good grief. There we go.
They describe as an Archon world, because the Archons have no creativity as humans do, and therefore.
What did he just say? The Archons have no. The Archons are the creators of the universe, but they have no creativity. Do I detect a contradiction? And humans have creativity? No, they have the potential to be creative. At present, I don't see much creativity. Most people are consumers of not only material things, but talks. I guess my talks included. I hope my talks inspire creativity, or at least independent thinking.
Their world is stark and ugly and uniform.
It sounds like our world, not their world.
Another wonderful symbolic picture of an Archon world, Archon reality.
Yeah, there you go. That's what the Archons created or made us create. That's pretty horrible, but not, well, that's about as horrible as some places here in Mexico, where the lower classes live in concrete hovels.
And that's because these writings say they have no, I think the direct translation is no intentionality. I put it another way, no creative imagination. And the writing.
They certainly have that. They've created this place for us intentionally.
From the best part of 2,000 years ago, make it clear that they envy humans who have this creative imagination, this the ability to create.
Feel good talk.
Describe the Archons as cyborgs, a robotic race that can imitate.
It's all inverted truth. He will talk about inversions. This, but he didn't mean to apply it to this. Again, it's, what did he say? Robotic? No, we have become robotic. Commanded by the people above us, controlled like puppets or, well, robots.
The translated word counter mimicry. Put simply, if you gave them a blank sheet of paper, they would know what to do with it. But you
they wouldn't know, but they created the universe.
There's something created on it, and they are able to distort it and twist it. But they can mimic and imitate. They cannot create in that sense. Interestingly, they also use the word fantasia. And in that sense, what they're saying is that these archons, jinn, different names, but I'll use the word archon as a consistent, have the ability to create fake realities, to distort reality, counter mimicry, to give people the view or the feeling of a perception that seems real but isn't.
Could you be doing that, David? Maybe. Sweet irony.
Mind parasites, they possess the mind and influence the mind in a negative way, particularly in a negatively emotional way. The one word they say that can absolutely describe the Archons is deception.
Deception. That's why the word con is in the word Archon. Con. R or Ra. Ra is conning us. The sun gods. The flying gods. Maybe.
Means of operation, modus operandi, is to invert everything. That's what they're doing, counter mimicry. They are inverting what is already created so it becomes something else. And it's no accident that one of the great forces that worship these archons within human society, what we call Satanism, use inversion as part of its symbolism. The inverted cross, the inverted five-pointed star. And so I've used this quote before in talks.
Well, it's more complicated than that, David. They created the cross. They created the right side up, pentagram, pentacle. And then they also inverted it for us. So we have the false choices. You can choose between Satanism and Christianity. And wisdom is not a choice they offer. So that's the trick, David, to offer us an inversion of a bad choice. So now you have two bad choices. You know, he knows. I'm sure he does.
And from this archontic perception, it becomes even more relevant. Michael Elner, who said, just look at us. Everything is backwards. Everything is upside down. Doctors destroy health.
Doctors destroy health. True. But is he going to tell us how we can be healthy? I don't think so. And I do have some notes on this. Health. Yeah, and what is health? But okay, let him speak about what's next.
Justice.
Lawyers destroy justice. True. But what is justice? Tell us, David. Are you going to tell us? Will it involve redistributing land or deprivatizing land? Will it involve some level of responsibility for land? These are not topics that he ever discusses. He doesn't want to get down to reality, down to the land. He prefers to talk about archons.
Cities destroy knowledge, governments.
Oh, universities destroy knowledge. Very well. That is true. But what is knowledge? And knowledge of what? Knowledge of how to care for this planet? Knowledge of how to recognize books that are fabricated, forged, faked, full of nonsense. Knowledge of how to distinguish truth from fiction, the importance of depending on sensory information, the senses, for our knowledge. And, well, none of us have seen any of these creatures, entities that he likes to talk about. None of us have seen lizard creatures, humanoid lizards, whatever they are. But we must believe in them because David has told us about them and he has read about them in books. And yes, knowledge. Governments destroy freedom. That's his next line. Excellent. They do reduce our freedoms with every passing year. But what use is freedom if we don't have solutions to our problems and we don't have the right knowledge to improve our lives, if we don't have the courage to break the chains of our addictions to this civilization, to things like alcohol, drugs, bad food, mental laziness, dopamine, adrenaline, testosterone, pornography, whatever, everything, cell phones. What use is it to talk about freedom if we don't have these strengths, the ability to make good use of our freedom and find the right way to live?
Destroy freedom. The major media destroy information and
Destroy information. No, they don't destroy information. They share a lot of lies and deception.
religions destroy spirituality.
And what is spirituality? Please define these things for us, David. Spirituality. Spirits, that word, the same word is used for alcohol, jinns. There's a lot of deception in spirituality. It's not a word that's really in my lexicon.
Everything inverted.
People are clapping to hear that. These shallow, very shallow truths. They know the world is upside down, but they couldn't set it right side up if they tried. Not yet.
This is classic. Politicians, knowingly, some of them, most of them unknowingly, that are promoters and pushers of the Archontic agenda, they are famous for bloody lying, inversion of truth. This is a quote from the English writer Noel Coward, who said, quite rightly, it is discouraging to think how many people are shocked by honesty and how few by deceit.
A very interesting quotation by a man with a very interesting name. A coward is speaking about discouraging, has the word courage in it, the opposite of cowardice. I wonder. Anyway, honesty about what? Honesty. I mean, I can be honest about the size of my shoes, the color of my underwear. Is that going to be something, an achievement of sorts, that kind of honesty? Let's talk about what kind of honesty do we want?
Such is the level of deceit in our society. One word to describe the Archontic influence: deception. So this force I talked about earlier that operates behind the crazes in politics and banking and business and media ownership and all the other stuff is this Archontic force, which takes many expressions, as I'll come to. And this
The Archontic force, which takes many expressions, has many names, to keep things confusing.
This is absolutely, massively significant. The Gnostics talk about something called hell in relation.
Hal, H-A-L, maybe we have seen the movie. That's that famous movie. I forgot the name. Space Odyssey 2001. That AI computer was named HAL. Well, it's an acronym for something I can't quite remember. Heuristic something. No, I don't remember the other two words. And here, HAL means something else, but very similar. But he hasn't made the connection. Space Odyssey. What a dumb movie.
To these Archontic manipulators, and hell means, in our translation, simulation of a virtual reality. A reality that appears real to the decoder, but is not actually real. It's a fake reality.
Is it the same reality that you're describing with all your archons and creators of the universe and lizard people? That wouldn't possibly be a simulation of a imaginary world, would it?
What I've been talking about for a few years now, the Gnostic texts describe reptilian entities in relation to being an expression of this Archontic force, and 1,600 bloody years ago, they described grey entities, and they describe them as being expressions of the Archons, and they say these grey entities are
expression like manifestations of the archons or incarnations of the archons, gray creatures. That's not very healthy. Do they also have big bellies like you, David? I hope they're healthy.
Are like an unformed baby or a fetus with grey skin and dark, unmoving eyes.
How did these creatures maintain skin like babies? Adrenochrome? Is that what we should interpret? Oh, he said eyes that don't move. Sorry about that.
Fetus with grey skin and dark, unmoving eyes.
Unmoving eyes. That's not a sign of intelligence. Those poor archons not functioning very well.
See, No, think they're a modern phenomenon. No, this manipulation has been going.
Aliens have always been around. Oh, I thought really aliens appeared when people grew tired of believing in angels and archangels, and with all the tech around us, maybe the powers that be decided, hey, maybe we can. And now that they believe in outer space, maybe it's time to give them aliens, extraterrestrial aliens, extra land. Extra land. There is extra land, I believe, on this planet. They've been hiding from us in part because of the globe nonsense. Anyway, um, oops, how many ums have I made?
Fantastic amount of what we call time. So, what can we ridicule? What's the latest thing to ridicule Ike for? Right.
Uh-oh, this is the victim narrative. He's been ridiculed.
Let's get a list. They must be adding to it by now. He's been talking for a while at that Wembley place. But one of the things they ridiculed me for is the idea that reptilian entities are behind this manipulation of human society. And people can deny their existence if they like. I don't give a shit.
He just said, I don't give a shit. Oh no, David. Such strong words. And unfortunately, the audience is very approving of his strong indifference to ridicule. Let's have a listen.
This is
Well, that's very disappointing. I'm sorry, people, but I guess they want reptiles.
a Spanish artist called Robert Ilimos. I spoke in Barcelona. Was it 2011, something like that?
This man who is, let's say he's not a painter, but he is painting, but he's not a painter. He is going to confirm David's theory that extraterrestrial reptilians exist because, well, this man, well, you will see. You will see the evidence this man produced. It is something else, something else.
Introduced a standard experience, which, thought I might be able to explain. He was into none of this stuff, never heard of me, never heard of the reptilians or anything. But he had a partner who lived, she was Brazilian. So he was in Brazil in 2009, I think it was. Yes, 2009. And he's out on his own, painting the landscape in his own unique kind of way. He's got his easel and stuff, and he's on his own, and he's painting away in this landscape. And he said, then this came down in front of him.
Looks like a hat, a giant hat with a little light. But no, it's a flying saucer. It's a spaceship with two aliens, two Archons in the middle. Spotted in Brazil. Brazil, by the way, I think that is an anagram for lizard. Brazil is. And the Amazon, the word Amazon is basically an anagram for the Spanish word for masons, masona. Reptile. If we subtract the E and then flip the R and the L, we get a European word for butterfly. R and L are very similar letters phonetically. Reptiles are butterflies. Anyway, it's a little trivia. Word games, spelling games.
Bit of a surprise, I suppose. And he said it was completely closed up apart from this window, and there were two entities in the window. And he said this thing came down and just stayed there for ages. He said, I don't know if I was taken aboard. He said, I have no recollection of it. And of course, he's got his bloody easel in front of him. He starts painting it, this chap.
That's what you would do if a giant spaceship came down while you were painting. You would just continue painting and add it to your paint. Yes, you. No. Somehow that doesn't wash.
And what he saw at the window were these reptilian type entities just staring at him, looking at him. And these entities exist. I mean, what he has painted is also described and indeed painted by other people all over the world who've had the same basic experience.
Wait a second. He didn't have a phone on him at the time. And this giant spaceship wasn't spotted by anyone else. Wow. It's quite a story, David.
I had to bloody smile.
Now, this is the climax. Absolutely the climax. Because now he feels vindicated by an article posted in this rag, Mail Online, English rag. What's the other word I was looking for? But anyway, this is the kind of newspaper that tells you about celebrities and monsters, and now it's publishing a quote unquote science article claiming that it's a bit fuzzy. Welcome to our new lizard overlord. Study suggests alien worlds could be full of super intelligent dinosaurs. David, really, you are resorting to this trash. I know you are absolutely laughing inside at your supporters. This is embarrassing. Very embarrassing.
This year, the Daily Mail's been taking the piss out of me over this for ages, like all the other buggers. And they run a perfectly straight story, headlined, "Welcome to our new lizard overlord. Studies suggest alien worlds could be full of super intelligent dinosaurs."
It's not a perfectly straight story. They're also mocking, laughing at the people who buy this trash. Oy. And now David is doing the same. Wake up, people. It's getting very embarrassing. No, it's been embarrassing for over a century. Time to start asking questions and what to say. Having a little courage to admit that maybe, or to consider that maybe we're being lied to, and that we're not going to get out of this mess we're in, this fake prosperity, even that is vanishing. This fake health we live with, this fake civilization, slavery, really. It's slavery for so many. I'm hearing stories of Americans with 3 jobs, 4 jobs. No, don't do that. There's no honor in that. We will need a lot of courage to get out of the situation we're in. David is not interested in that. I suppose what is he trying to accomplish? Yes, it's nothing good. I think we know, if you've been listening to me for a while, you may know what I consider the solution. There is no fixing this world that was created by the so-called Archons, the con artists and cannibals. And I don't care to fix it anyway. There's nothing really worth fixing here. I much prefer to start from scratch and create an entirely new culture, new living environments full of life, not this dead stone and cities full of danger and toxins. No, healthy forest garden environments full of happy children and diverse life forms, butterflies, and yes, maybe some lizards. I have them here too. Some of them survive my, well, not so little cat. Um, excuse me. I spoke recently to a younger man who attempted to befriend me without actually listening to anything I have to say, which is unique. So conversation proved nearly impossible. But it inspired me to think a little bit about how we get out of this situation. This younger man was quite negative. He thinks, well, they'll just burn us out, kill us if we try to leave the system. I don't think so. After thinking about this, yes, they burned out all the native peoples of the world and forced them, either killed them or forced them into their prison farms where they raised a generation of children without their parents, so therefore without their traditional culture and knowledge. So blank slates that were easy to program into the belief systems and practices of our current civilization. So that went according to their plan. But now that we know, at least the 100, 200, I don't know, who are with me, we know what happened. We will never let that repeat. I believe we would never let it happen again. We know we're being set up presently with these fires, floods, and economic stress. A solution that will be offered to us, a more degrading and humiliating electronic prison, will be offered to us. And of course, we must walk away from that solution and make our own world. If that means homesteading, going off grid, starting eco villages, I think that's actually highly desirable, not just a question of survival. It's desirable. And when they figure out that we're not going back, we're not going to trade this choice for what they offer us, I don't think killing will be that interesting to them. They might be more interested in seeing how we manage. That would be more entertaining for them. Dead people are not very entertaining. Sadism is their entertainment. And I think if we do a good enough job of it, of making our new world, who knows, they may even join us. Who knows? I indulge in fantasies, perhaps, sometimes. Well, I hope this was a good debunking of a lot of bunk. Don't bunk with David Icke. I hope I haven't upset anyone with the naked David. Be well, sleep well, take care of yourselves. Be active, please. Please don't treat this stuff like lessons in public school. Share, please, and maybe not just videos, but ideas orally. Do your best, as I am trying to do my own best work.